great. Sagittarius, just in time for your Sagittarius December 2020 tarot reading. I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who have just stopped by for the first time. And if you have, well, hopefully we'll see you again and you get to be perhaps even one of the great subscribers. And my love and good positive energy to you always. I'm always very pleased to see you. And anyway, I hope you have a fantastic time at Thanksgiving. Let's have a look. Incidentally, if you would like to have a personal clairvoyant reading with me, then just check out the information which is in the description box below. But now I'm going to draw 5 cards, or more particularly 5 cards are going to come to me. And that will constitute what your reading is going to be. So let's see what it is. There is the 2 of Wands. The High Priestess. Oh, extremely interesting. The 9 of Discs, you are going to love that, I think, but what is it around? The Healer of Swords. This is an unusual deck, requiring, I think, an unusual reading. And there is the Teacher of Wands. Well, what's in store for you? Let's have a look. Come and have a look at the imagery on these cards with me, and together I'll do the reading for you. Now, next month's reading will take place on will be published on the Wednesday, the 9th of December at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time. Now, these cards are really requiring me to give quite a channeled discussion of what they mean for you. They speak really to your psyche, I think, this month. They really speak to what's going on inside, maybe inside your shadow self. Now, you're up for it, Sagittarius, so let's have a look at it. The first one here is the 2 of Wands that I want to look here. Well, fire energy, your fire energy, is expressed through the 2nd chakra, sometimes referred to as the sexual chakra. This is healing sexual energy, the developer has called it. Excuse me. Now, here the basic life force takes sexual expression. Now, it is important to remember that sexual contact with a lover is just one way of expressing this energy. If you don't understand this, you may repress your sexual energy when you don't have a partner. This is cutting off of your life force and sexual experience. And it is an unfortunate and unnecessary loss. Why dry up because one avenue only is closed? You can experience your sensual and even your sexual nature in the way you move, in the way you dance, in the way you talk, in the way you touch, and in the way you relate to the world around you. Now, many people have told me that they feel an erotic quality in their experience of nature. This same energy can also be used for shamanic journeying, as is seen in this painting, at least as I see it here anyway. It is an expansive, liberating energy that spirals outward and inward, an important energy to come to know. Now, there are very few people on the planet who don't experience some binding of their sexuality or some sexual wounding. This wounding is stored in both the body and in the psyche. And so it can therefore be triggered in various ways. The challenge is to learn how to work through your pain without getting lost in it or making an identity out of it, out of previous rejection or victimization. And you understand what I mean by that. We must eventually leave the pain, sometimes referred to as the pain body, and come back to your real body, the actual body, with its capacities of healing, pleasure, and presence. Now, what this energy is saying here is that your second chakra fire energy is looking for expression, and your job is to work out what is needed. Is your task to open to it more, allowing new avenues of expression? Is it to experience this energy more deeply without the veils that have often blocked your awareness of it? Is the task to be more skillful in how you are expressing this energy, more aware of its impact on others? Perhaps your task is to contain it during those times when you feel out of control. And we have all been there, haven't we? What is the direction of healing for you? If there are traumas and feelings that are complicating your sexuality, find appropriate support for working through these. Because becoming truly free in your sexuality can take a lot of work, but the rewards are plentiful and will ripple all throughout your life. Now there is another Wands card at the diagonally opposed side of the spread. So let's have a look at it. Now, the developer of the deck calls it Spirit in Matter and also calls it Teacher of Wands. Wow, it's a very trippy sort of painting, isn't it? What I'm getting from this is that this energy here is about a very large process, one so large that it is often hard to see. Do you know when you can't see the forest for the trees? It is the dance of spirit descending into matter and then ascending through matter back towards pure spirit. I'm talking about these things with you because you are probably the most spiritually in tune sign in the zodiac, and I know that this will resonate with you. It is the whole cycle that is recognized in this particular painting and in the energy, and particularly the first part, which is so often ignored in traditional religions, that is the dance of spirit descending into matter. Now, the celebration of immanence, that's just a big word which means spirit being in matter. I shouldn't use big words. It is associated, spirit in matter, the concept of, the reality of spirit in matter is associated more with the feminine aspects of divinity, the Shekinah, and with more feminist and earth-centered traditions. It is the path of going deeply into the embodiment rather than trying to escape embodiment. Now, some people have said, and I agree, we don't need more out-of-body experiences. We need to learn to be in the body, here and now, attending to the needs of the planet. Well, this picture, I think, this painting, captures both aspects. It depicts a plant rooted deep in the earth, yet reaching up towards the heavens, the female subject of the painting, who personifies, I think, the conscious element of the plant, reaches upwards in praise. Praise is the appropriate response to the wonder of creation and the recognition of the love and intelligence that manifests this way. The pattern in the woman's heart here mirrors the larger pattern which is behind her. And that reminds us of, as above, so below. So I think you may want to explain various ways of praising and celebrating spirit in matter, whether this is through prayer or through ritual or through song or dance or simply practice of gratitude. One of the best ways for you, I think, to experience spirit in matter is to spend time in nature, forming relationships and learning to listen on a deeper level. You can also work with mindfulness, I suppose, bringing consciousness to your daily activities and to your body as you go through the day. You can learn to infuse consciousness into whatever you do or whatever you touch. And you, of anybody, could well consider the possibility that all form has consciousness, even inanimate things like stones or bricks. Even if you don't end up having a conversation with your car, it may lead you to your treating matter with more awareness and respect. And for you at this time, I think it's a good time to ask yourself where you are in your spirituality. Do you recognize both spirit in matter and also recognize transcendence, that is, where spirit is beyond and goes beyond space and time, and honor both in body and out of body awareness? Now, there was a teacher. Here's another person here. Here's the healer of swords. Somebody, I think, who is liable to be very much Gemini and Taurus around you at the moment, I have to say. Now, in the suit of swords, and I'm looking at this painting here, it says, what's the message on it, incidentally? Mapping the mind. All right. Mapping the mind. Very good. Well, as I was saying, in the suit of swords, healing, and this is the healer of swords, healing is working with the mind in such a way that you break free of its restrictive patterns. Now, part of what allows you to leave your story and sense of personal self is understanding how these are constructed and what keeps them in place. The healer, I suspect, is one who has this knowledge. Your spirit guides have this knowledge. And you can get this knowledge from mapping your mind, seeing its terrain. This can only be done by making full, authentic contact with your experience. You can't map your mind if you're running away from it. In mapping your mind, you both see its contents and the way it works. You see the landmines of problems and also the landmines of attachment. You also see the way out. Now, I think the healer, and this healer inside of you, understands how awareness brings change, as well as how to use methods, perhaps like visualization or visual patterns to affect consciousness. Now remember, your beliefs are only beliefs, and feelings are only feelings. And the painting, a woman sits in the lotus posture meditating. I think this painting sums up really what I've just been talking about, because this position that she's in, it allows her to open up to higher frequencies. She sees a mandala. It's like a geometric pattern used in a lot of spiritual traditions, but particularly in Tibetan Buddhism. It's like a symbol that people focus on when they want to meditate or pray. And the pattern is one of wholeness. Now, this is not just symbolic. The center of the pattern acts as a portal, allowing higher energies to stream into her consciousness, just as it will allow it to happen in you. The star and the moon in the woman's hands here, I think they represent her creative powers, showing that once the mind is cleared, you have access to your creativity. Look, this has turned up, I think, as an invitation to you to get to know the patterns in your mind and to learn new ways to work with them. There are many ways you can do this. Use the tools of meditation or psychologists, I suppose. But there's nothing like a long, silent meditation to really see the workings of your mind, and maybe think about that. Ultimately, healing the mind is healing into what the Buddhists call big mind, the ground and true nature of mind as vast, open space. Now let's have a look and see what we have next here. What do we have? I'll do this one in the middle before. Wow, I think she has a lot to say to you, and so we'll do this one first. And what a great energy it is for you. The developer calls it instinctual wisdom. I call it the Lord of material gain. So I see material gain coming through here for you. Let's have a look. The Nine of Discs. What does this painting tell me? What are you trying to get across? Well, it's called instinctual wisdom, and I think instinctual wisdom comes through the body. It often shows up as a sort of a physical response to events. You can feel nauseated and turned off by things that feel false to you, and excited and drawn to those that are nourishing. Now, you may get this feedback in different ways throughout the body, but the center that is most responsible for instinctual knowing, I think, is your stomach. This is where internal sensing develops, as well as, I think, what many people refer to as a gut feeling about something. The content often revolves around your instinctual needs for food, sex, safety, and pleasure. Now, the wolf, both of them there, I think are probably good symbols for this. As creatures of the wild, the wolves remind us not only of this body-based wisdom, but also our own wildness, which can get lost in modern society. Now, the astrology of this card for me is the Sun in Virgo. Now, what happens here is that the Sun energizes Virgo's hard work and attention to detail. And Mercury is coming through as well, giving you good communication skills. So the abilities provided to you by Mercury, which is communication, skillful dealing with people, and Virgo's hard work and attention to detail and organizational ability, all of those combine to produce gain. So I see things coming towards you which are gifts, financial rewards, increasing levels of responsibility in relation to workplace matters. However broadly you may want to define that. There could well be promotions for somebody. But there's also here a gain in your material life. Now, this is not just money, even though the 9 down here is a long way away from the ace. This is talking about an increase in your general sense of well-being in your overall environment. And it's a particularly good time of year for that to occur. Now let's look finally at, is it finally? It is. At the High Priestess here. Here she is. Now, incidentally, what is it that let me see, feminine mysteries and intuitive wisdom. Well, okay, that's what the developer says. She is the daughter of the mighty ones in my book. In the picture, this painting here, she is lifting a veil. Now, you might think of this as lifting the veil so that the mysteries behind it can be seen. It is twilight, the crack between the worlds, and the perfect symbol for bringing mystical consciousness into daily life. Now, if you look carefully, you'll see several moons. See in this sort of this red arch here? Well, there's several. Where are we? There we go. There's several moons in there on that veil. Now, like twilight, the moon stands between darkness and light, and it cycles between the two, and is a symbol of change. Change is much more of a central component of feminine consciousness than of the masculine. Rather than deal with fixed patterns, the High Priestess works with the change that flows through everything. I think this is also represented by the spiraling galaxy which is in her womb, showing how great the creativity of feminine consciousness is. Now, I'll continue referring to her as the High Priestess, but the messages coming through here. I think you'll get them. The High Priestess is a channel for higher wisdom. Now, like the priests and priestesses of old, she metaphorically brings this wisdom down from above and makes it available to those for whom the connection is less clear. Her gifts are not for her alone, but in the service of a greater good. Now, she's sometimes seen as a feminine counterpart to the magician, but I don't get that vibe here. I don't get that. I see that her concern is not so much for manifesting in the physical world this month for you, as it is playing with the magic of the invisible worlds. She is interested in archetypes and astrology and dreaming and all sorts of ways the invisible world enters your life. In these, she is accomplished. She is expert at opening herself to the higher realms and bringing this knowledge into the world. Now, this may take the form of prophecy and divination. You could find that you're really have a great degree of psychic awareness during this period here. And you could also be called upon to be a counselor or an advisor to other people, to friends or to other people. Now, she is aligned with her sacred purpose and her line to the divine, and her reception is clear, and yours will be during this period. In a sense, I see her both as the high priestess and a follower, for she devotes herself to following the guidance and inspiration she receives, and is thus a model for living in accordance with intuitive wisdom, which is what you will be very skilled at during this period. And she can use this in her work as a healer or a teacher, an artist, a visionary, a housekeeper, a gardener. She may simply be working with this in her personal life. But I think it's important for you to pay attention and live in a conscious way. For her to go on automatic or to push too hard is destructive, because it cuts her off from deeper knowing. The more closely she aligns with this knowledge, the better her life goes. And I guess in a more general way, I think this energy represents the feminine mode of consciousness, but don't be alarmed, men, because we all have a feminine side. And it is the receptive, intuitive mind, what we might call the moon consciousness, which is going to be to the fore for you this month. She's unconcerned with the ways of man. Her loyalty is to universal laws that run much deeper. Now, I know that you'll understand that. I've gone quite spiritual on you this month. That's just what the cards are saying to me, and I know that you can handle it. Good job, Sagittarius. Well done. That's the way it is for you this month. Well, I thought that was going to be good, and it was. I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. Now, don't forget, make sure you check out your 2021 annual reading. If you're a subscriber, of course, it's delivered into your subscription box, or just have a look at the playlist that's on the channel. It's being published the day before Thanksgiving in the afternoon, US Eastern Time. But look, remember one thing always, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.